strange kind of meeting. It is the culmination of a person's hard work and his dedication to his achievement, the manifestation of his achievements. The book was his dream, which he talked about with all of us who were close to him for many, many years. So the book is really a piece of him that we have with us, and we are very happy that we can share it with all of you.
From the title, it's very clear, what you see is what you see. That, remember, this man was a man with a sense of humor. He was also a man who didn't like what Victor Hugo would have called as the curtains of his soul being lifted for examination. He didn't like to discuss his work. How absolutely exasperating that a man like Imran Mir should, even in what became his last known work, have refused to communicate on his creative process and the insides of his mind. Is it because they didn't exist? Absolutely not. Is it because he valued his privacy and didn't want to speak about that kind of thing? I don't think so. I think that the answer lies in the method of Imran Mir. There are two parts to his thinking. One obviously appears in his art. The other, which is viewed as a separate area, is his communication skills, which he utilized while working with media. I think we might do well to remember that these are both manifestations of the same essential web of creativity.
He was responding to some inner rhythm, to some, his own way of looking at the world, from which he carved out an art dialect for his work. Imran's work needs to be documented, as Hamid has said. It needs to be understood, because I think there were very few people like him who straddled two disciplines with such ease. He was a visionary, and I think we need to put together the narratives of the visionaries of this country. If we have to reimagine its history and rewrite its history, particularly its cultural landscape.
He came to me once and he said, Shahid, there's this multinational design agency who wants to buy circuit. So what do I do? तो मैंने कहा भेज दो. कितने पैसे दे रहे हैं? यार पैसे तो बहुत सारे देंगे. So I said भेज दो. So but then I said, so what are you going to do? So he says, well, I'll have to open up another company. I said, there'll be two issues. One, you'll have to beat them at the work. And two, you'll have to come up with a great name, because they're going to take your name away, circuit. Immediately he says, wo naam ka koi masla nahi hai, I'll just call it short circuit. Small agency, I'm going to beat them. I'm just going to call it short circuit. And anyway, that's Imran. I could talk about him all night.
When someone asked him about his work, he said, what you see is what you see. I have no story to tell you. And that's what he was. There was no double meaning. There was no hidden agenda. You got what you got, and he said what he had to say, and that's sort of what we try to do as his sons also. The last and most important thing, and I'm going to quote him on this, that he sort of imparted to us, was that there's no place in this world for people who are mediocre, and that's from him, and I try and live by that. If you look at everything he did from concept to execution, there was a level of perfection. For him, I would say this level of perfection or excellence was not an act, it was a habit that he lived by. you know, we've spent a lot of time talking about Imran Mir and you know, his creative genius and his, you know, all the great things he gave to us. But there's someone else here who is sort of equally deserving of our praise. I would say, you know, she stood by him through thick and through thin, through all the highs and lows, and without her, I would say the Imran Mir we know today would not be the Imran Mir we know today. And that's why Imran Mir dedicated this exhibition and the book to my mother, Nigat Mir. If you see her here, give her a hug. She deserves it.